Assalamu alaikum. My name is Heather Gilani. Today, my presentation is about sensors. So here we go. What is sensor? So there are numerous definitions as to what a sensor is, but I would like to define sensor as an input device which provides an output signal with respect to a specific physical quantity. The term input device in the definition of a sensor means that it is part of a bigger system which provides input to a main control system like a processor or a microcontroller. Another unique definition of a sensor is as follows. It is a device that converts signals from one energy domain to electrical domain. The definition of this sensor can be better understood if we take an example into consideration. Look at this picture. So we got different kind of sensors like IR sensors, reflective types, transmissive types, touch sensors, photo transistors, etc. Classifications of sensors. So we have done different classifications of sensors. There are several classifications of sensors made by different authors and experts. Some are very simple and some are very complex. The final classification of the sensor are analog and digital sensors. Analog sensors are produce an analog output, continuous output signal with respect to the quantity being measured. Digital sensors in contract as analog sensors. So, as we mentioned in our presentation, we have to describe 6 different sensors. So first is our temperature sensor. So we go with the temperature sensor with a basic definition. It is a very most common and popular sensor in our books and literature, which is temperature sensor. So I would like to explain the temperature sensor. So temperature sensor is a device to measure the temperature. This can be air temperature, liquid temperature, or the temperature of solid matter. These are different types of temperature sensor available, and they each use different technologies and principles to take the temperature measurement. So we have different sensors like thermistors, or TDs, thermocouples, temperature probes. So we can see in these pictures too. These are the temperature sensors. Uh, Temperature sensors are used to measure temperature in many different applications and industries. They are all around us, present in both everybody life and more industrial setting. Industrial applications, scientific and laboratory applications, medical applications, motorsports, domestic appliances, HVAC appliances, transits, temperature ranges, accuracy and stability, size and package. Uh, so this is all about the temperature sensor. It measures the changes in the temperature. There are different, as I said. So we have here temperature sensor can be analog or digital, as I mentioned, and above sensor the temperature correspond. Temperature sensors are used everywhere, like computers, mobile phones, automobiles, air conditioning, as I mentioned above. So our second sensor is proximity sensor. Proximity sensor is a non-contact type sensor that detects the presence of an object. Proximity sensors can be implemented using different techniques like optical, like infrared or laser, sound, ultrasonic, magnetic Hall effect, etc. Some of the applications of proximity sensors are mobile phones, cars, industries. Proximity sensors is reverse parking is implemented in project. So we can take an overview of a proximity sensors by another websites. As there is some definitions though that performs non-contact detection as above Upper features, we can talk about the features of the sensors. Proximity sensors detect an object without touching it, and they therefore do not cause abrasion or damage to the object. No contact are used for output, so sensors has a longer service life. Unlike optical detection methods, proximity sensors are suitable for use in locations where water or oil is used. Proximity sensors provide high speed response compared with switches that require physical contact. So operation principles. So we can talk about the sensor principle, how it works. Inductive proximity sensors detect magnetic loss due to eddy currents that are generated on a conductive surface by an external magnetic field. An AC magnetic field is generated on the detection coil, and changes in the impedance due to eddy currents generated on a metallic object are detected. So this by sensing object and sensing object. So these are some data sheet about the proximity sensor. So our next sensor about which we are going to review is infrared sensor. Infrared sensor are light-based sensor that are used in application. So we can have a look on it and another website. Infrared sensor are light-based sensors. We can have a look on it. Yes. Uh, an infrared sensor is a radiation-sensitive optoelectronic component with a spectral sensitivity in infrared wavelength range 780 nanometer to 50 micrometer. Infrared sensors are now widely used in motion detectors, which are used in building services to switch on lamps or in alarm system to detect unwelcome guests. In a defined angle range, the sensor element detects the heat radiation, infrared radiation that changes over time and space due to the movement of people. Such infrared sensors only have to meet relatively low requirements and are low cost mass produced items. Infratech does not supply such products. Infratech develops, produces, and sells detectors. Types of infrared sensors and their features. mm, the piezoelectric IR sensors used a wavelength range from 2 to 14 micrometer. Infratech uses special observation layers so that the infrared sensors can even work as large area, long-term stable receivers for UV radiation. Uh, so this is about the IR sensors. IR sensors, reflective type sensor we have on a look. There are two types of transmissive type and reflective type. In transmissive type IR sensor, the IR transmitter usually an IR LED and the IR detector usually a photodiode are positioned facing each other so that when an object passes between them, the sensor detects the object. The other type of IR sensor is a reflective type IR sensor. In this transmitter and the detector are positioned adjacent to each other. A small project where IR sensor is implemented are mobile phones, robots, industrial assembly, automobiles, etc. A small project where IR sensors are used to turn on street lights using IR sensor. Next, we have ultrasonic sensor. An ultrasonic sensor is non-contact type device that can be used to measure distance as well as velocity of an object. An ultrasonic sensor works based on the properties of the sound waves with frequency greater than that of the human audible range. Using the time of flight of the sound wave, an ultrasonic sensor can measure the distance of the object. The Doppler shift property of the sound wave is used to measure the velocity of an object. Based, so we can have a look. So we can have a look on it. So there is a definition of ultrasonic sensor. An ultrasonic sensor device that measures the distance of a target object by emitting ultrasonic sound waves and converts the reflected sound into an electrical signal. Mm, these are the talks we have done before. Ultrasonic sensors are usually primarily as proximity sensors. They can be found in automobile self-parking technology and anti-collision safety systems. Ultrasonic technology, in comparison to infrared sensors in proximity sensing application, ultrasonic sensors ultrasonic sensors are also used as level to detect, monitor, and regulate liquid levels in closed containers such as wards in chemical factories. Most notably, ultrasonic technology has enabled the medical industry to produce images of internal organs, identify tumors, and ensure the health of babies in the womb. Then we have a light sensor. Sometimes also known as photosensor, light sensors are one of the important sensors. A simple light sensor available today is the light dependent resistor or LDR. The property of LDR is that its resistance is inversely proportional to the intensity of ambient light. When the intensity of light increases, its resistance decreases and vice versa. By using LDR is a circuit we can calibrate the changes in its resistance to measure the intensity of light. There are two other light sensors, photosensors, which are often used in complex electronic system design. They are photodiode and phototransistors. All these are analog sensors. These are the digital like sensors which can calculate intensity of light and provide a digital equivalent value. We can talk about light sensors. Uh, Types of sensors are LDR, photoresistors. Photoresistors, a high resistance semiconductor of material called cadmium sulfide cells, highly sensitive to visible and near infrared photodiodes and phototransistors. So these are the light sensors. And the last sensor we use smoke gas detector. A smoke detector is a device that sends smoke, typically as an inductor of fire. Commercial smoke detection issue a signal to a fire alarm control panel as part of a fire alarm system. Household smoke detectors, also known as smoke alarms, generally issue an audible or visual alarm from the detection itself or several detectors if there are multiple detectors interlinked. Uh, we have a different type of, it can use to carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide detection. Carbon monoxide sensors detect potentially fatal concentration of carbon monoxide, which may build up due to faulty ventilation where there are combustion appliances such as gas heaters and cookers also. So it is also used for the carbon monoxide detection. That's all from my side. Thank you so much.